Hey everyone, so today we're jumping into a real head scratcher at the heart of South Korea's economy. On one hand, it's a global powerhouse, but on the other, a lot of people there are asking a really simple but powerful question. And that's the puzzle, right? The headlines are all about success, record growth, top of the charts. But for the average person, it feels like life is getting tougher, not easier. So what is going on behind those numbers? Let's get into the analysis. Okay, so first, let's look at this core symptom, this huge gap between the economic charts and how people actually feel. How can a country be getting richer while its people feel like they're falling behind? Now, according to the analysis we're exploring, the problem isn't that there's no wealth. Oh no, the money is there. The problem is that it's stuck. It's like a massive traffic jam. The wealth is being created, but it's not circulating down to the very workforce that built it. Which, of course, leads us to the big question, where is it getting stuck? Well, the diagnosis we're looking at points right to the top. It focuses on a major shift in how corporate leaders think. The argument is that the country's trailblazing CEOs have sort of been replaced by a different breed of leader, one that's actually holding the country back. And this quote, it just nails it. The source uses the Korean word jibain. Now, that doesn't just mean manager in the modern sense. Think of it more like a caretaker of an old estate, someone whose job is just to maintain what's already there, not to build anything new. So let's break this down, because this is really the key difference. A manager, in this sense, just protects the company's existing assets. They keep the ship steady. But a true leader, well, the argument is that they forge a new path. They don't just sit on the wealth. They use it to create something new, to inspire people with a sense of purpose. And the result of this manager mindset? Stagnation. All that incredible wealth and talent is essentially being warehoused, not being reinvested into people or bold new ideas. And this traps the amazing energy of the workforce that built the entire country. But this is also where the analysis takes a really fascinating turn. Because that trapped energy, it isn't just a problem, it's also the solution. The whole narrative flips here to focus on what the source calls the nation's greatest hidden asset, all the experience and knowledge built up by its working class over decades. But first, a pretty stark warning. This isn't just some resource you can mine endlessly. It's a huge source of built-up pressure. The argument is that, after all these years of incredibly hard work, if you just keep pushing people without offering a real reward or a new sense of direction, well, you risk the whole thing breaking. So here's the crucial shift in thinking. Stop seeing the workers' past as just a story of hardship, or koseng in Korean. Instead, you have to see it as the creation of an priceless asset. All those years in the factories, the shipyards, that created this massive reserve of practical skill and know-how. That experience itself, that's a national treasure. And that changes everything, doesn't it? This isn't some problem that needs to be managed. It's a powerful energy source just waiting to be unleashed. So the real question becomes, how do you channel it? How do you give all that potential a new purpose that benefits everyone?
And that brings us to the final part, the prescription. The source proposes a really radical and ambitious pivot for the entire country, a complete reimagining of its role in the world.
The core idea is simple, but it's huge. South Korea's next big step forward won't come from selling more stuff, it'll come from selling its knowledge. The proposal is to shift from being a nation that manufactures goods to a nation that mentors the world. So who are the students here? This is a really important detail. They're not in Korea. The argument is that the real demand, the real market for this knowledge is outside the country, in developing nations that are hungry for the kind of practical, on-the-ground expertise that Korean workers have in spades. So how does this actually work? Well, it's a three-step plan. First, you need that big mental shift. Second, the action. You empower those veteran workers to become global teachers, consultants. And third, the ultimate goal. You totally redefine what work means. It stops being about hardship and becomes a rewarding act of sharing your knowledge, a concept in Korean called boram. And the potential payoff here is huge. Yeah, sure, there's economic prosperity because this knowledge is a valuable export. But just as important are the other rewards. A deep sense of fulfillment for the workers and a whole new level of global respect for the country. Not just as a maker of things, but as a mentor to the world. And here's maybe the boldest claim of all. The source argues that in this new model, there's a meaningful, respected role for every single person with experience. The vision is a nation where you don't have retirees being put out to pasture, but respected mentors with more work than they can handle. A nation with, potentially, zero unemployment. So we end on this big question. Is South Korea's destiny to just keep being a factory for the world? Or could its future lie in becoming the world's teacher? It's a really profound thought about a nation's identity and its purpose, suggesting that maybe its greatest product isn't a microchip, but the wisdom of its people. Thanks for watching.